Hits 96, Chattanooga's #1 hit music station. Gino D here with you. Welcome to the afternoon show. And today I'm kicking off the show in a big, big way with a very special guest, an iconic figure in the world of comedy and entertainment.
Wow.
Yes, you're iconic, Tom.
All right.
Absolutely. Groundbreaking MTV show. That's how I grew up watching him in the 90s. To any of his numerous projects as a comedian, actor, director, and now a musician. Tonight, not only performing at the Signal and starting your Home to the Country comedy tour, but you're also launching an exciting new project on Prime Video. It's a documentary and numerous others in the works. Welcome to the show, Tom Green.
Thank you.
Welcome to Chattanooga, my friend.
Great to be here. Great to be back in Chattanooga. I love it. I love Tennessee.
Have you been through?
I have.
Before?
I have been here before. I've never played at the Signal before. Never performed there before.
Right.
But I love coming down south. We drove here from Canada. You know.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
How was the trip?
Oh yeah. We drove all the way down here. Right. It was much colder up there than it is here. So it's fun seeing the snow here and seeing people kind of trying to figure out how to deal with it.
Yeah, before you got here, we were talking a little bit in the studio, or outside the studio rather, and we just had our first probably serious snow in a number of years.
Yeah.
You probably would have laughed at it up in Canada and said this is a regular Tuesday for us, but we actually had to shut things down for a little while because of the snow.
No, it's scary stuff.
It
Scary stuff, yeah.
Can be.
Yeah, no, it's an exciting day for me. Like you mentioned, on Prime Video,
Yeah.
On the streaming service Prime Video, my documentary that I directed came out, which is all about the history of the Tom Green Show and how it started before MTV. And so it's kind of a big day. And now I'm doing my stand-up comedy tour. There's a stand-up special coming out this week also, and a new show.
Yeah, so this is a great opportunity, and thank you for including Hits 96 into this little run, because you get so much to talk about.
Got to come to Hits 96 when you're in Chattanooga. When you're in Chattanooga, you have to come to Hits 96.
I love
Absolutely.
it. So let's talk about first the show, because it's tonight. So if people haven't bought their tickets, they need to. TheSignalTN.com is where they can go. Tickets are still available while they last. I suggest you act fast. It's happening in just a few hours.
Yeah.
But we want people to go over, and you're kicking off this tour, the Home to the Country comedy tour. What can people expect when they go to the Signal tonight, and what can people expect on this tour?
Well, you know, I lived in Los Angeles for 20 years. I'm from Canada, and a couple years ago, I just moved back to Canada, and I got a farm, and I have a mule and a donkey, and I've been riding my mule around, and I don't know anything about mules, you know, but now I do actually, but I didn't, so that's kind of the theme of my new show on Prime, and also I talk a lot about some of my experiences on my new life on the farm in my stand-up. It's also got a lot of nostalgic throwback sort of ridiculousness compared, talking about some of the old stuff I used to do in the TV show. And I'm playing some music too. I'm playing some music. I have an album that came out today also called Home to the Country, and that's it's going to be, actually I don't even know it's out yet. It might be coming out this afternoon at some point.
Sooner or later, but it will be out today at some point, which is exciting stuff. And
literally today.
Literally today.
Yeah.
Make sure everybody knows.
We're launching
literally
it here
today.
on Hits 96. The very first time it's been mentioned on the radio, actually.
Yeah. No, we're happy to be part of this whole launch. This is so great. And it's interesting. When I heard you were coming to town and you were playing the Signal, that was one of the first thoughts. Was interesting because they're usually known for their musical performances and such, not so much the comedy. I was like, well, Tom can do comedy anywhere, I'm sure. But then we learned that there's an album coming out. You'll be doing songs as well. And I thought, yeah, the Signal's a perfect venue to kind of launch this tour and to really get people to dive into this. What inspired the country routes? Was it the move back home to Canada? Is that why you wanted to kind of go that route?
Yeah, in some ways. I mean, I've always made music.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I made the Bum Bum song.
Yes.
It went to #1 on Total Request Live. My bum is on the cheese. My bum is on the cheese, right? But I had to retire that because it was #1, and MTV thought, we can't have this playing on MTV at #1. We got to retire it, so I retired it. But I'd always made music, and I liked making electronic music. But then the last few years, I don't know, as I've gotten older, maybe I've started trying to sort of get more into playing piano and guitar, and started playing some music that I like listening to, and it's been great. It's been really fun. I've been playing with some country musicians up in near my hometown, and really enjoying putting out these songs and writing these songs.
Very cool. And people can get that on Spotify and everything else, I assume. And
just search for my name and Home to the Country, and there's a combination actually of some Canadian cover songs I've done, and then about 10 songs that I wrote.
Awesome.
And check it out.
People definitely will. And we'll be most certain to post up all of the details on our website too at hits96.com, so people can easily find that link and be able to check all of that out. So we're excited for the show tonight, obviously launching the comedy tour. Let's talk about this documentary a little bit. I'm particularly excited about this because, as I mentioned, this is when I grew up and was introduced to you was through the MTV show, the Tom Green Show. Groundbreaking stuff from painting your parents' house plaid,
right?
Talking about your battle with testicular cancer. I mean, you really were just doing all kinds of shenanigans, as we called it earlier.
Yeah.
What did you learn in this documentary process, going back through all of that footage, whether that be through just about your career or personal growth? What was that experience like?
Well, it was sort of it was a big process because I've kept all of my videotapes that I've shot since way back when I was in high school, even, and that was a long time ago. So I have 10,000 hours plus of video. But the show was one of the first shows that was sort of pre-social media, where it was me making this homemade show with video cameras when video cameras were new, putting them on a public access station. And then it ended up on MTV. And when it came out on MTV, people hadn't really seen that kind of sort of raw guerrilla pranks and things like that. It was, before a lot of shows that came after my show that were similar to that. And YouTube and TikTok, we're so used to that now with our phones.
Right. You were ahead of the times, no question about it.
Yeah, so the documentary kind of sort of covers that, sort of the history of that kind of comedy and also just how the show evolved. But I don't know, I guess just watching it all, I just kind of was, it's kind of, it was cathartic in a way to go back through my life and try to tell this story, because there's been some misperception of, I did a crazy show. People might have thought that I was crazy, but I'm not crazy.
No,
I'm not crazy. It's kind of, but it was fun to go through it and kind of tell the story and show the behind the scenes of it. And I don't know, it's kind of an amazing, weird thing to have like your whole life documented like that. I would not advise it to anybody. I know everybody does now though, but back when,
True.
But we were filming these, like you said, these pranks with my parents. My parents are in the documentary. They were the first, I'd say some of the first television parents to get pranked against their will on television.
Right.
And their reaction was always what was funny about it. But you see it on TikTok now. You see people painting their friend's car or, barging into their parents' bedroom and waking them up in the middle of the night. And we did that stuff in the mid-'90s. Cool. Yeah, and it was sort of, people didn't even really know what they were looking at. People would come up to me and say, "Are those your real parents?" They didn't understand that they weren't actors, because we weren't used to. It was before reality TV even. So, and
it's all real too. They had no idea that you were going to do that stuff. I mean, I'm sure at one point they were probably like, "Oh, what's Tom got in store for us in the near future?" But when that all kind of started, they were just
yeah, and they would be mad, because I wasn't on MTV when we were doing it. I was just sort of I was a broadcasting student. My friends and I were doing it, and at a certain point they were kind of like over it and not happy and about it, but that was kind of the fun part. They deserved it too, because they made me do my homework, and I didn't want to do my homework. I wanted to go ride my skateboard.
That's it. Well, that's on Prime Video, and that releases today, so you can be able to check out that documentary. I can't wait to watch all of that. Fascinating to hear about your creative process a little bit too, and you do all kinds of different things, from comedy and all of that. Now, songwriting. I know you've been writing songs and everything. Explain your creative process a little bit about how you go, no matter what the project is. How does Tom Green go about creating?
Well, I guess I just maybe have too much time on my hands. No, I do like to just sort of sit down and kind of. I think that's what I really like about moving to the country where I live now. And I was getting out of Los Angeles and get back to the country, back to my roots. I feel kind of calm when I'm out in nature and when I'm out of the city. And I like to, just kind of think about, what I want to do next. With music, it usually starts with just picking up the guitar and or getting on the piano and playing some music and thinking of whatever pops into my head. But I think a lot about, like with the music, it's different. I think I'm trying to tell stories about what's going on now in my life, about returning home and being, near family and getting back to your roots. And it's sort of actually not really a funny album. It's not depressing or anything.
Right.
But but at times some of the songs are kind of melancholy and sad songs, but it's not a hilarious comedy record. It's a sincere record. But with with the show, I mean, a lot of times with the show when I was making the pranks, we would sit down with my friends and we'd just sort of throw ideas around and try to think of something that we hadn't seen before. It was always we were always trying to come up with things that we had never seen before on TV or on the internet. And I think that was
push
somewhat the
envelope.
challenge was let's try to do something new that we have not seen, and a lot of it was always based off of the jumping off point was some of the things that I was inspired by when I was growing up. I did love skateboarding videos. I loved David Letterman and broadcasting, and I did college radio. So it was a basis in some sort of normalcy, but then we would try to break it,
push that envelope, do what you can to kind of to break the mold, and again become the groundbreaking artist that you became. It's just fascinating stuff. And now we have all these new projects in the works, as we've been talking about. You mentioned this series that your parents are going to be in as well, Tom Green Country. That will come out next Friday on the 31st. That's very exciting stuff. And it seems a little bit more, I know there's always going to be comedy when you're involved, I have a feeling, but it does seem a little more serious in the sense of you kind of telling a story and exploring this new lifestyle compared to living 20 years in California and kind of going back home. So what can we expect when it comes to that series? Because it looks very good.
Yeah, it's not an over-the-top, outrageous comedy show, but there's lots of hilarious moments with my parents, and I sort of, working in the garden, and my parents kind of razzing me. Actually, they've kind of turned the tables on me a few times in the show. But we see when I have Fanny, the mule that I now ride every day, and it was my a member of my family now, Fanny and Kia and Aria and Alora, a horse and her foal, and so me kind of learning how to navigate through this sort of new chapter in my life there's a lot of comedy in it, but it's very much a sincere, authentic sort of docu-series glimpse into what it's like to leave Los Angeles after 20 years and go home. And it's really, I'm excited for Americans to see the show because a lot of Americans may not have been to Canada, and to see what it's like on a farm in Canada, I think will surprise a lot of people, especially here in Tennessee, because it looks a lot like Tennessee. Like where we just jumped in our van and drove down here, and it's sort of as my fiance and Amanda are driving together down here, and as we're driving through, we're sort of, she hasn't been here before, and we're sort of pointing out, hey, there's a lot of more similarities than there are differences between our two countries,
Speaking of driving through Chattanooga, have you been able to stop anywhere? I know you were over at the Chattanooga Choo Choo taking some photos earlier. You went to see the signal, of course.
Yeah.
Have you seen anything or remember?
We just got into town. We went to Walgreens. I got a toothbrush. But
we're big for our Walgreens here in Chattanooga. Yeah,
it was good. It was good Walgreens. No, we had a good time at the. I went to a nice restaurant at the Chattanooga Choo Choo. What was the restaurant we went to? It was a great restaurant over there.
There's a few of them.
Yeah, and
Norman's is over there.
We're just kind of set.
One final thing to talk about is the upcoming comedy special. It's going to be out on Tuesday. I Got a Mule, which I'm assuming is the story of all of that.
Yeah.
Is that similar to what you're kind of the same comedy that you're doing tonight?
Yeah,
but it's just
much so.
Obviously
it's an
video.
hour-long live performance that we shot at a theater, and it's you got to expect to come out and have a great time. The show, I've been touring the last 20 years all around the world nonstop, and I'm love being on stage and having a good time with everybody, and it's the show's not just for people that grew up watching the show on MTV, but there is a lot of there are references to some of the good old days from that, and we have a good time.
Growing up with your audience must be quite kind of almost a surreal experience. I think I watched from one of the clips you were asking who here is over 40 that kind of remembers and that whole thing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, a brand new audience that's coming in and now just being introduced to what you're doing now. So it must be kind of a cool feeling just to kind of see the different waves of generations that are following you.
It's really cool. It really is cool because, it's time goes by pretty fast, right? But when, it's sort of sometimes I think, it feels like it wasn't that long ago that the show just started on MTV, but it was actually 1999. That was, 25 years ago, over 25 years ago. So, and so it's really cool to be able to come down to Tennessee, and we're in Nashville tomorrow night, and then going to Dallas and Tulsa, and then to Austin to the Comedy Mothership, to Joe Rogan's Club,
Awesome.
and so it's sometimes still kind of amazes me that I can travel all over this country and people come out and have all these fun memories of the old show. I think the show hit people in a certain way because when they saw it, it was sort of the first time people had sort of
100%.
seen someone running around with a video camera, and I think kids watching MTV at the time got their hands on a video camera and started doing that kind of stuff. But to see it on TV, I think it was the first time people had seen something like that kind of they could relate to in a way. So it's it's stuck with people, and it does have an impact on every time I meet somebody. Yep. A lot of fun meetings with people, whether it's just on the street or after the show.
Cool. No, it's definitely a game changer. You changed the game. There's no question about that. And thank you for kind of launching all of this right here in Chattanooga with us when it comes to the tour and talking about all of these new projects. We're going to list everything up at hits96.com. You'll be able to go and get it all in one click. Before you go, Tom, we do a little bit of a tradition here. We play a game called Satchel of Questions.
Uh-oh.
It's a bunch of random questions.
Satchel of questions.
Literally in a satchel.
Satchel?
And I figured we'll just do 2 or 3 just to kind of change it up a little bit. Since
nice
we talked more
satchel,
about all that. I have an actual Hits 96 satchel. You can see that.
I'm a little nervous
cameras.
about this.
Oh, you're going to be great.
Satchel
These are real
of
simple.
questions.
Here we go.
Satchel of questions.
If you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be and why?
Johnny Carson. Because he was hilarious and a big inspiration to me and a big inspiration to people that I grew up watching, like David Letterman.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say Johnny Carson.
That'd be a great answer.
Yeah.
That'd be I'd like to be a fly on the wall for that conversation between you and Johnny Carson.
That would be some wild stuff. Outside in Chattanooga today, it was so cold. I saw a pigeon running into Kenny Rogers Roasters to surrender. That is some wild stuff, Ed.
If you could change one thing about the world, Tom, what would it be? Heavy questions here with the satchel.
I think I would try to remind people that we haven't always been this divided, and that the internet is kind of I think maybe affecting us emotionally and psychologically, that we're being sucked into these algorithms on our phones and arguing about everything, and let's just get back to all getting along and having a good time.
I like that answer. We'll do one more here for Satchel of Questions. And again, thank you so much for stopping by today and doing this all with us.
Thank you.
Would you rather have your dream job, which you might have already had, or your true love?
Oh, my true love. Yes, I have it too. I have it too. My fiance Amanda's here. So I've
had congratulations on the engagement, by the way. That just happened recently, right?
I'm a lucky man. Man. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Just before Christmas. Yeah. Very exciting. Yeah.
Awesome. So look at that. You get everything.
And we're having a fun time touring. Amanda hasn't gotten to visit the United States and seen as many places down here as I have. So I'm showing her around the country.
That must be kind of a cool experience as well, to show someone everything for the first time.
Yeah. Amazing.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Tom Green, thank you so much for stopping by, being a part of our day, making us a part of yours. What's the big takeaway from all these projects and everything? Final question here. What is the big takeaway that you want people to get from these projects, whether it be the comedy special, the album, the documentary? What do you want people to take away?
I just hope, whether you're one of my longtime fans or somebody that sort of remembers the show and maybe even sort of was a little confused by me, or didn't know, what I was all about, to check it out, because I think you'll be surprised. It's it really shows you a different side of me that maybe you may not have seen, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tom Green, for stopping by today. We appreciate you. Congratulations on all the success, all of the success in the future, and hopefully everything goes well, and have some fun on tour, okay?
Thanks, Gino. Thank you.
All right. It's Hits 96.